This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 101 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. Clicker training comes back. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Our title sponsor is Omega Alpha. You can find them at omegaalpha.ca. Also, Equestrian Collections. Visit them at equestriancollections.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B., and you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, howdy, Helena.
Howdy there, partner. I'll
tell you what, we have a lot to talk about today. I have some exciting news, and you've been a klutz.
Yeah. What else is new?
So we of course both show up a little bit late to record, like we usually do. And you say, "Oh, I'm in pain," so I have to find out first, what are you in pain about?
Oh, okay. I smashed my thumb with a hammer, and I smashed it good. Smashed the tip right off.
What?
And,
like a little pile of bloody goo?
Oh, yeah. It was a pile of bloody goo, all right.
Ooh.
My daughter and her friend are here, and we have this lovely patch of blueberry bushes in our yard, and, the birds are helping themselves. So I thought, well, what a great way to get two things done at the same time. I'll have the girls build a scarecrow.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were trying to smash the bluebirds. I don't know.
No, never.
Okay.
No. Only deer flies, which we'll get to in a minute. This is the only thing I could smash right now. So I have this brilliant idea. Well, let's have the girls have this afternoon project, and we'll build a scarecrow. So I was trying to hammer two sticks together, a skinny stick to act as the arms onto a bigger stick, and these are like tree branch sticks, so they roll and they don't stay still. And so I got frustrated, and I decided to bring that hammer up really high and bring it down really hard. And I was doing it on our brick patio.
Oh.
So I didn't just smash my thumb; I smashed it into the brick.
Oh.
And I knew it was bad, and I instantly ran into the kitchen and put it under cold water, and I proceeded to get extremely faint. And so I said, "Grace, go get Daddy! Go get something, get some ice!"
Okay, the only reason I'm laughing is you're laughing, so because this is not funny. We've all done it.
Well, I can stand blood and guts and gore and other people's pain and even my own pain, but something
when
about
you smash your thumb,
my God,
it hurts.
And it didn't stop hurting. Usually, when you hurt yourself, it's the initial ouch, that gets you. But then it starts to feel better almost immediately. Like the actual impact is the greatest part of the pain. Well, this thing started to hurt more, and I broke out into a sweat. I mean, dripping sweat. My heart was racing. I'm like, I got to sit down on the floor. I have to put my head between my knees. My thumb is in a bucket of ice.
How long ago was this?
Like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, geez.
I literally the nausea and the faintness just passes.
Oh, no.
But I should be all right. Yeah, my daughter doctored me up.
Well, good. So you're trying to teach a nice lesson to your daughter, and instead she has to witness blood and guts.
At least I didn't swear. I was so sickened by what happened.
For you, it's pretty good, actually.
And on top of that,
you mean the Italian didn't come out?
No, it hurt too much to be anything but zombie-like. So, I don't know, 3 days ago, I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I was riding. Maybe I was putting around in the woods. I don't know what happened, but that night I'm laying in bed. My eye starts itching. I was scratching my eye. I have a deer fly bite on my eyelid. Okay?
Ooh.
It is so swollen. I look like the prize fighter. So between my thumb and my itchy, scratchy, red and swollen eye.
Don't go to the hospital because they're gonna the welfare people be over checking out your husband.
I look like $1,000,000.
God.
So
I can just see you with your headphones on right now.
I'm what those celebrity bloggers call a hot mess. But now, okay, that's enough about me. I want to hear your exciting news.
The exciting news is my wife and I bought a horse last night, and I want to give a shout out to Martha. We're going to pick it up Sunday. We've been looking around to find a family horse, one that she can ride and one that I can ride, and that we can switch off and go trail riding together and stuff.
Right.
And so we wanted a quarter horse, something that was quiet and, just that we could hang out on. We didn't really have to do much work.
Right. Just chilling.
Yeah, we found a lovely quarter horse over in Jeffersonville, Kentucky, about an hour from here.
Okay.
And beautiful place. And Martha was the sweetest woman ever, and she had gotten this horse, was her first horse, actually, and now she's moving on to some wacky younger ones. And so he's a chestnut 15, about 15-1, 10 years old, been there, done that. She did a great job with him. So shout out to Martha. We're looking forward to picking up our horse on Sunday.
Oh, and I'm a big fan of chestnut quarter horses.
I know. Jennifer said that too. She said, oh, this reminds me of the days when I used to ride with Helena and we were both riding quarter horses.
Oh, I know.
So, so we're very excited about that.
So now this is the horse that you guys went and rode the other night?
Yes.
So she said, when she sent me a text, she said, I just rode Zeke's twin.
Yes, yeah. So your horse's twin. That's exactly right. Yep, that would be true too. Doesn't really have any vices and just hangs out and was great. So
just a good old boy.
Yeah, so I went last night and put the deposit on him, and we're going to pick him up on Sunday, and we'll be keeping him at the barn a couple miles from here. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to getting him. We're trying to decide on a name because his name is Cookie. And no offense, Martha, but we knew a Cookie once, and we'd rather not remember that person. So I told Martha we were going to have to change the name, and I know she was upset because she's had the name Cookie for a long time. But you don't want to be reminded of somebody that was by the name of Cookie. So we're going to change his name. We're going to have to come up with a new name.
I changed my horse's name too. But it was Khalil, and that's okay. But it just seemed like it was a personal connection between his
somebody had a relationship to that name.
Exactly. So I have this theory that you really shouldn't change an animal's name if it's like 10 years old and older. 10 years is like, when a horse is being used to call something, how do you change their name? But whatever, I got over it.
And then the other bit of a side, by the way, we should tell everybody what we're going to do today on the show before we continue on here. We are actually going to have a guest on who we interviewed many, many years ago on a different show by the name of Shauna Koresh. She is the lady that's really responsible for the popularity of clicker training and on-target training years and years and years ago in the 90s when it became so popular. And she's also responsible for its resurgence now. It really is coming back into the forefront. So we're going to get Shauna on. She has a fascinating story. She used to work for SeaWorld and train dolphins, and she used to be one of those in the wetsuit there in the pool doing the shows. So she's a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to having her on today. And then we're also going to do in just a minute here, we're going to do our Kathleen's Wild Ride update. Kathleen is in a part of the world, she did make it into Wyoming. And but she's in a little town there in the middle of the mountains. And I mean little town. I brought it up on the map, and it looks like there may be 6 roads in this town. It's little. So she's there and going to be there for a couple days, but they have no cell phone reception. So we're actually going to get her friend Mary, who keeps up her Facebook account and gives us the daily updates. We're going to get Mary on here shortly to tell us what's going on with Kathleen. But before that, speaking of Kathleen, one of her things is she loves bacon cheeseburgers. We've established that on the show here. And she's constantly on the search. Well, she's gotten me so hungry for bacon cheeseburgers every week we talk about this.
That makes 2 of us.
That we started our own mission to find the best bacon cheeseburgers in Lexington. So every Sunday we go out to different places to have bacon cheeseburgers. And we have hit upon the winner. I haven't found any place better than this. And it's a chain of all things. It's Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Have you ever heard of it?
No, Five Guys Burgers and Fries.
Yeah, it's actually at fiveguys.com.
Okay.
And they have a location in Seekonk.
Oh, that's not too
Massachusetts,
far.
not too far
Okay.
from you.
Yeah.
On your way to Providence, actually, off of I-95 or 195. They
Look
have
at you. Would you
they
do
have-
map it out
I mapped
for
it
me?
out for you, so you could go find it.
So
It-
you could go there. We could take you there when you come to visit.
This was the best, freshest. You choose what you want. All they have is burgers, and you choose what when you want, one patty or two patties or whatever, what kind of cheese, what toppings you want on it. You pick the toppings, and they just make them right there. But what goes along with that is they have the best bread, and then also everything is so fresh. The lettuce and it's just fresh. The tomatoes were fresh. Everything was just fresh. We were eating it. We were going, this is the best bacon cheeseburger we've ever had. And then they make their own fries. They cut them. They have the big bags of potatoes stacked up there, and they cut their own fries and make them, and you can get Cajun fries that have that seasoning on them. Oh, they are to die for. So I highly recommend Five Guys Burgers and Fries. If there's one near you, and they're not an advertiser on the show, if there's one near you, check them out. It's at fiveguys.com. But it was good.
Okay.
Very, very good. Yep. We're going to go back there again this Sunday. We're not even looking for a new place. And as I said, it's sort of like a fast food place. This one was built right next, but it has its own unique flavor. And this one was built right next to a McDonald's. This place was packed. So there you go. There's franchise opportunities available. You could open one right there in your little town along the beach.
They don't let franchises here in Little Compton.
Okay.
I know. We like that.
Be that way.
I know. I'll eat burgers. I don't want to cook them up. I just want to eat.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to be involved with. That's what my husband's for. I don't want to be involved in creating and making food. I just want to eat it.
And I do want to quickly announce the winners of the Bluegrass Medallion giveaway that we've been advertising on all the shows here for the last, what seems like forever. Thanks to Bluegrass Medallions for giving these up. Do you want to read the winners there, Alina? Or are you ready? And by the way, if you're going to pass out during the show, let me know.
No, I'm good now.
Okay,
I'm good now. Yeah.
You're being a trooper.
I am. I mean, if you saw my thumb, you'd be sending me fan mail yourself. Okay. Yes. So the winners of the Bluegrass Medallion giveaway. I just think this was the coolest giveaway. All right. So should I start with the bronze? We'll start with the bronze.
Yeah.
Our bronze medallion, sorry, Scott. Our bronze medallion winner is Scott Lederman or Lederman. It's probably Lederman from Germantown, Wisconsin. So congratulations to Scott. The winner of the silver medallion is Janine White from Boring, Oregon. And I'm sure it's nothing boring. Oregon's a beautiful state. And the winner of the gold medallion is Stephen Birdsall from Westfield, Pennsylvania. Ooh, that was an easy one.
Well, congratulations to everybody. That's over $500 in medallions. And as Chrissy Joy pointed out to me yesterday from the Bluegrass Medallion giveaway, when we started this, it was over 500, but gold has gone up significantly. So it was probably over 600 at this point. And these are the real thing. They're the official World Equestrian Games medallions. So there you go.
Yeah, and I don't think you should have me read anything else.
Okay. Well,
that was a struggle to get through that.
Well, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with Kathleen's Wild Ride update. But we'll be right back after these words from the #1 supplement company in Canada, and now making great waves here in the United States. Our title sponsor, Omega Alpha. Well, Helena, Omega Alpha Pharmaceuticals creates only natural health products. Their scientists, guided by Dr. Gordon Chang, formulate a wide variety of mainly herbal health products to address many equine health problems. And I have on the line here Kyle Carter, who is an international eventer and well-known throughout the eventing world, who uses Omega Alpha products. Kyle, I understand that you started using Omega Alpha about a year ago.
Yeah, I've been using it for about a year and have noticed a remarkable difference in the horses that have been on it, and then if they've come off of it, the horse's health always has been better on it. It's one of the few supplement companies that I wholeheartedly believe in.
Well, thank you, Kyle. You know, Omega Alpha brings consumers the perfect marriage of nature and science. Look for all of their products at retailers nationwide or visit their website at omegaalpha.ca. That's omegaalpha.ca. I just love saying that name, Omega Alpha.
I do too. And you know what?
It's got a cool name.
It's coming more naturally.
I know. I kept wanting to say Alpha Omega, but Omega
Omega
Alpha.
Alpha.
Oh, it's just
.ca.
cool.
And I like saying .ca because everything's .com. .ca mixes it up a little bit.
All right. Well, thanks to Omega Alpha for being part. Let's get Mary Bengal on, who is Kathleen's friend, who calls her every day and harasses her. And then Kathleen writes about on the blog saying there's this woman that keeps calling me and harassing me. So let's get her on and get an update about how the horse is. Remember, he had some sores on his back.
It was the saddle. She was waiting for a new saddle. Her old saddle to be shipped back and some things like that.
All right.
2 mares. That's an important point.
Yes, I'm sorry
Girl
about
power.
that. I got that wrong. All right, so we're going to get Mary on the line here. Hi, Mary, and welcome to the Stable Scoop Show.
Thank you.
It's been a while since we've chatted with you. We've had Kathleen every week, but she's in the middle of sort of a godforsaken place in Wyoming.
Well, Cokeville doesn't think it's godforsaken, but they don't have cell service. So there you go.
As far as cell service is concerned. And I checked out Cokeville on the map, and it's a little town right there.
Yep.
And just outside the Rockies. And it looks like she has gone about 35, 40 miles since we spoke to her last.
Yeah.
But it was some hilly ride, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a ride, and it was full of mosquitoes and bugs, and it looked like they had the chicken pox, but they're better now.
Oh.
That seems to be happening all across the country. The bug crop has been big this year.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is in Cokeville, they spray the town with, I guess, some kind of pesticide that's outlawed in 47 states. So there aren't any bugs in the town of Cokeville, but they don't sell any type of bug spray for the horses or for actually your skin. So, she doesn't have any bug spray to travel with her once she leaves
Is that the
town.
strangest thing ever?
We
know.
We got to find like a net. You know how they have those nets that you throw over your baby carriages?
Yeah, that would
we
be
got to
good.
find something like that for her.
Well, they
Boy,
do
she'll
make
be a
it for
sight
over their
coming down the road.
face. They do make it for over your face, I know. They make those for riders, actually.
Oh, well, there you go. You just need a giant one for her and the 2 horses.
Yeah.
And I'm sure nobody would take notice of that.
No.
Like she's not noticed already.
You just see the kids
Exactly.
going cross country with their parents. Mommy, what?
Look, it looks like a caravan all by themselves.
Hey, so what happened? Her horse had saddle sores last week that were healing up. How's that going?
Really good. She thinks they'll be probably 100% by Saturday.
And is she hanging around in Cokeville till Saturday? Is that the plan?
Yep, that's the plan. I talked to her, what's today, Thursday. Tuesday, we got to talk on the phone, and that'll be the last time we get to talk until she gets to Kemmerer, we think. But it was Friday or Saturday she's going to head out because she thinks the saddle sores will be completely healed up, and that's the goal. Otherwise, it's always going to be 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So,
Right.
yeah, and they were just darn near about gone, so...
And so now she's going to continue through some hills here for a little while yet. Wyoming gets pretty far and few between here.
Yeah, she's going to try and get some advice from some of the folks she's going to be staying with and traveling past, who live in Wyoming. And when she gets to Kemmerer, our contact person there is Don Lamborn, and he's, his remark was after Kemmerer, it's about 125 miles and nothing. So we're going to talk to him about possibilities and who he might know between there and the next stop, because that's a little bit scary.
I am looking. Yeah. There is nothing.
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. And his advice was to go a little bit further north where there'd be more contacts and more people.
Okay.
So Kathleen and I haven't talked about that yet. We're just trying to get her out of Cokeville and get into Kemmerer, and then we're really going to talk about what's coming after Kemmerer.
I have an idea. Kemmerer has an airport. We'll just load them all up, and we'll fly them to, Chicago, and they can just resume from there.
Hey, they might all be for that, especially the horses might say, yeah, let's do that, Kathleen. That sounds really good right about now.
Of course, the Kemmerer Airport, we may not find an airplane big enough for the 3 of them.
Maybe not. We'll ship them all out separately. Yeah.
Well, they could go by rail. Are there any train services?
It doesn't look like there's much there.
Yeah.
No.
Does she have any camping gear with her at this point?
Yeah, she has her tent.
Okay.
Not much. She's got the tent that she's been camping in when she's been staying at the fairgrounds. And today they're staying in a 3-acre parcel in town in Cokeville, so she's using her tent and some camping gear and stuff, so she's okay.
And the horses have 3 acres. Well, that's great. They're out just relaxing and eating.
Yeah, they're happy. The horses have it pretty good. I think this trip they're pretty happy living outdoors for the most part, and they've been eating well and getting a lot of TLC along the way. So I think they're doing pretty well.
I have to read a section here if I could. I know it's never good radio to read, but this was off of her blog. It was, you might think this is crazy, but you might think this is crazy.blogspot.com. Her latest entry on July 19th, and she has almost a more sarcastic sense of humor when she's writing. She says, now I've been across the country, well, at least the western section. I've noticed an interesting trend. There are a large number of, guess what, Helena?
Deer flies.
Trampolines in this part of the country. Every town I go to, didn't see that coming, did you? Every town I go to, I see them dotting the yards, inviting children to bounce their cares away and older people to shoot footage for America's Funniest Home Videos. Hey. It has got me wondering, how good was that traveling trampoline salesman? He or she must have been amazing. So it is interesting, the little things you find along the way. And then she had another entry I want to share, and I think, Mary, this probably hit you too. It was her previous entry. I'm just going to read the last paragraph. She said, I guess if I have to have a reason for this trip, it is to live. Pure and simple live. Do what you are driven to. Take joy and pleasure in it. Don't put things off or ignore the little voice that pushes you. We spend so much of our lives doing what we think we are supposed to do and not enough doing what we have a passion for. I find that sad, and I want all of you to find your dreams and ride hard for them. You will get sores along the way and have to take time to recover, but the journey is worth it, so saddle up and go find those dreams. Yeehaw.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I think
doesn't that explain it, Mary?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that should be the first page of her book, or the forward to the book. I mean, that totally sums it up. And a couple of things I have about that is my cousin Fred, when I called him when she first entered Idaho, that's how we got her through Idaho, is my cousin Fred was the contact. And he said, well, I don't know if we can really help her. It'd be easier if she had a cause. If she was writing for something. And I said, She is. She's writing for herself. She needs to do this. And what better cause than to ride for yourself?
Agreed.
And that's exactly what she's saying. This is because she needs to do it. She wants to do it. And that's what you have to live your dream, and she's got the guts to do it. And that's what she's saying to all of us. Isn't she?
Yes. And I think...
And what better reason to help her do it if she's doing what we all need to do? And that's the best cause of all. I mean, it's wonderful to do something for cancer or for leukemia. I mean, that's fantastic. We should all do those kinds of things and help those charities. But the best charity of all is to go live your dreams.
I agree. And you pay it forward. She's getting an education, which we all know she'll pass on to everyone she meets from now. And she's getting an education for herself, and we'll pass that forward to everyone she connects with. But then she's connecting with all those people through us. She is doing something for herself that she will then pay forward. She is serving as a role model, and bravery and courage and planning and riding and why wait for some kind of disease or disaster to do something right?
And it's funny. We'll close with this, Mary, but in the paragraph before that, Helena just mentioned bravery. She talks about in this blog post how people stop her, and she has to tell her story. And she says, no matter how many times I tell people, I'm always surprised that they are interested. I get told that I am brave, which I don't feel I am, and that I am strong, and I don't feel that I am any stronger than anyone else. I get asked all the time what cause I am riding for, and when I say I don't have one, most people find one of their own. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. Well, here we are being philosophical today. Thanks, Kathleen.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, Kathleen's got a very funny, sarcastic, lighthearted side, but obviously when she writes, then you get to see the serious side and the meaning behind her trip. And I think that's why Jay and I and all of us are interested and want to help her get there.
Well, you need to do me a favor. You need to take that last paragraph I read, the one about the reason for the trip, and that needs to go in the paragraph on Facebook about what she's doing. Because that is the highlight. That explains, we still have some naysayers out there. They're going, oh, she wasn't prepared and this and that and the other thing, and why is she doing it? It's crazy and blah, blah, blah. That's why I wanted to read that today. That's why.
Yeah, you bet. I'll put that on the Facebook. And there were people, I'll say something that we can close with too. There were people who didn't believe she'd get through the first 3 days. And now she's on her third state.
And how long has she been gone? She left
2 months.
2 months,
Middle
yeah.
of May. Middle of May.
Well, I can
She's
tell
on
you,
her third
people are
day.
really looking forward to, or people really look forward to hearing the updates every week. So let's keep doing them. And
Sounds good.
I just wish we could get her into Kentucky in time for the World Equestrian Games. Wouldn't that
I
be
do
cool?
know.
too. I do too. It's a slow go, but at least she's doing it the right way. So
Yes, she's taking
one
care of
state
her
at a time.
horses. She's taking care of her horses too. So
That's right.
All right,
Well,
thank you,
thanks,
Mary.
guys. Appreciate it. You
All right,
bet.
take
Talk to you
care.
soon. Okay,
Bye, Mary.
bye-bye.
Well, that's great, Helena, and that's our Kathleen's Wild Ride update. So you can you're all caught up on where she is along the way.
Yeah, and I follow them on Facebook. I love
Yes.
Mary's posts on Facebook. I'm a
Yes.
little bit addicted to it.
I know,
Like,
and the people.
like talking to Kathleen live and in person once a week isn't enough.
Yes, and Mary does a good job of making them. You see her frustration in trying to get news too. Mary lays it all out there on the sleeve.
She does. She does. Good job, Mary.
And Jay, her husband, we got to acknowledge Jay, her husband, helps and writes a lot of those too.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
let's-
busy working on her bathroom, though, I hear.
Yeah, that's right. He probably doesn't have a hammer. Let's take a break here for Equestrian Collections and then come back and let's talk about clicker training and on-target training with the leader in that space and a very fun lady by the name of Shauna Koresh. For over a year now, we've been telling you about all the cool things happening at Equestrian Collections and the variety and selection of products they have at fantastic prices. But today we want to talk to you a little bit about their social networking and what a community they have built on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and search for Equestrian Collections, you're going to find that over 20,000 fans are now following Equestrian Collections on Facebook. And the reason is they have a dynamic community built over there. On most store sites, most company sites, on Facebook, we'll just promote product and things like that. That's not what happens on Equestrian Collections. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but mostly it's the community sharing pictures, talking about stories, asking questions of each other. It's an active, vibrant community, like a little forum right there on Facebook. Search for Equestrian Collections on Facebook or stop over to equestriancollections.com for all of your horse and rider needs. Thank you to Equestrian Collections. And Helena, it's time. If you remember right, it was 3 years ago that we talked to Shauna on a previous show we did.
That's right.
And it's been a long time. So let's get caught up on what's going on in her world and where we are with clicker training. I've been reading more about it again. It's
Right.
sort of making comeback. And I know you and my wife are big believers in it. So
Yeah. Yep.
And we'll I am sure that the new horse, the new quarter horse, with the new no-named quarter horse, will be clicker trained to do all kinds of tricks.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure he will, probably in the next 2 weeks. So,
Yeah, what will take Jennifer 2 weeks to accomplish will take me 2 years.
all right, Shauna, let's learn how to do it quicker with her.
And we have on with us today Shauna Koresh. I'm very excited to talk with Shauna. Shauna is the founder of On Target Training, and she's got a fabulous background of training not only horses, but some other mammals as well. And Shauna's going to talk to us about clicker training and all kinds of training and philosophies. So welcome to the Stable Scoop Show, Shauna.
Thank you so much. It is great to be talking with you guys.
Tell us about, for those of you who aren't familiar with you or your training, tell us a little bit about who you are and what does your world consist of in terms of training these days?
Okay.
I know it's a tall order. Sorry.
There's a half an hour question.
I go right
Don't forget, I've got the gift of gab. But anyway, I started my training with animals, and that was where I really started training animals was at SeaWorld in 1984. And so SeaWorld out here in California, and so I worked with killer whales, dolphins, sea lions, walruses, otters, and I did the shows with them as well. And that, yes, I flew through the air with off the nose of the killer whales.
So you were one of those. You were one of those girls in the wetsuits doing the show.
Exactly. I get that question all the time.
The perky ones.
Actually, did the shows.
The perky ones. They always have to be perky. I think, isn't that a requirement? It's probably on the application, isn't it?
I know it's something they pull out in the interview process. They want to know that you've got a presence out there on stage as much as, they'll train you, teach you how to be a trainer, but you need to have a certain stage presence, and that comes with perky.
And you have to be able to smile even when you're getting thrown through the air.
that enough
true.
is reason. That alone is reason to smile.
Yeah.
I mean, we ride horses. We're adrenaline junkies,
Yep.
Glenn. Come on. All right, Shauna.
So true. Okay, so I started in 84, and I worked there through 94. But in 1992, Elizabeth Bush Burke of Anheuser-Busch, who owns SeaWorld, gave some of us trainers tickets to see a Grand Prix, show jumping, and back to that adrenaline junkie thing, I saw people flying over, 5.5-foot fences, and I thought, oh, how thrilling, I want to do that. So that's where I kind of started looking into horse training and how it was done, and I realized that the techniques that were being used with horses were just foreign to me, and what we did with marine mammals was foreign to horse people. So I kind of saw that, what's happening with horses is excellent, it's great, but there's this whole other part that people aren't aware of that is so, I knew after 10 years that it is just so strong and so good and makes such a great, safe relationship that I really thought, well, that's just there's something missing there. There's another part that they could really add into what they're doing to make a better relationship. So I started.
And that part was the clicker.
Actually at SeaWorld, though, we didn't use clickers, and we didn't call it clicker training. We called it target training.
Okay.
And that's hence the name I have is on target training, because our focus is on the target. Like if you had a new animal you're working with, you're going, I'm going to start the target training. And so and we use whistles or we use verbal bridge signals. At one time we used clickers, but then we got away from them. But it is the same. It is the principles. I mean, I still call it's positive reinforcement training, but I still call it clicker training because it's become recognized through the dog world. It kind of has come into horses and become recognized as the term clicker training. So, and I do use a clicker. So,
but the basis of it is to use a sound as the reinforcing target or the trigger, right? Yeah. Okay. Versus what I was going to say is that the
trigger.
Oh, okay. No, it's hard because we can't see each other and we're both really excited and we're both probably talking with our hands and like our faces smushed into the microphone.
Alina's being Italian.
And excited because I think this is such a great method of training. Typically the conventional horse training methods are using body cues, nonverbal. And so, some sound, there's clucking or whatever, but, the whole natural horsemanship thing is all about using your body and body language to influence the horse. But this on-target training is a little bit different than that because it uses sound or
Actually, your cues are still the same. So
Okay.
I still use body, I use the aids, and I use... But the clicker, what is different about it, it's actually a yes signal when they're doing something correct. So it doesn't start the behavior. It actually punctuates and says what you just did is correct. Now you've earned the potential to get a reinforcement. And so we vary what that reinforcement is. A lot of times it is food related because it's one of their needs to survive. So its value as a motivator is stronger than anything we have in our traditional world of horse training because they really value it. But so it kind of marks a process along the way. But it is communication for sure. But you can use verbal, you can use tactile, you can use your body position when you're riding, doing under saddle work. So all of those kind of things will work together. But so that you're on the right idea. It's just a little different point in the equation there.
Okay, I like this. I want to hear more. So essentially, the clicker is the yes. So whatever method you use to get, you have your methods, but in general, you have a method to get the horse to produce a desired behavior. You say, yes, that's what I want with the clicker sound.
Exactly. And you can use traditional horse training, which is, you can use, there's bits. I ride with a bit. I ride with my leg. I ride with my hands. You can use the stick. You can use a round pen. You can use whatever it is that you traditionally use to get to those means. And then you use the clicker to, instead of and typically what we do is the reason they do it again is we then remove that pressure, so we squeeze with our legs. When they go forward, our legs soften. We ask them to stop or slow down through, let's say our bit and our reins. When they stop or slow down, we soften that pressure. So they're working for the removal of that pressure. So what we do, you can do it right in conjunction with it, and that's a great thing. It's not like it has to replace everything you know, but it adds in, and it's you then can click and say, yes, I like your responsiveness to my reins, whether it's an opening rein or a flying lead change or groundwork. You got tons of husbandry behaviors like injections or farrier work or trailer loading or clipping, but it's all so that you can use whatever you traditionally used. But we also use at SeaWorld we used a target as well, and I use it with the horses too, and it kind of is the first thing when I'm first clicker training them and giving the clicker value so they understand that it is something good. The very first thing I teach them is to keep their head and body turned away so they don't encroach on my space, but they learn to respect my space and my boundaries, so they're always watching and always there and bright-eyed and ready to go, but they're not mugging me, they're not on me. They have to learn that. And they don't know it right off the bat, but in 45 seconds they begin and start learning that. So it's really fast. And then we go into the target training, and the target is like a 2-foot dowel I use. It's just like the ones we used at SeaWorld. I have a marine fishing net float on the end. It's nice and light. It's white. I can take it anywhere. It lasts forever. It can get wet. It can get dirty. You can wash it. It's always the same for me. But it doesn't matter what you want to use. And I teach them
to touch. And it floats when you're on the cross-country course and fall in the water.
Exactly, and there you go. You can always find it when your horse jumps off the boat. So that's the next part. But the target also is a way that you can help to set them up for success. Like if I want a horse to go in a trailer and I just stand all day there with him loose, because I like to work him loose as much as I can, so that I don't like to use a lead as a pull and a tug, but more as a signal. And sometimes if you have a really reticent loader that's like, I don't want to go in the trailer for anything, I hate the trailer, just by pulling on the lead rope, sometimes you just get them in the you pull, I pull, it takes two to pull. And so if I just take all that stuff off and just go, hey, come touch this target that you know about, the odds of them coming and wanting to touch the target is really strong because we've already established a positive reinforcement history with the target, so they see it and think, I just want to touch that thing, but it means I have to put a foot on that ramp. But they inevitably make decisions to put the foot, and then you can click and reinforce. So it gives me a way, or click and feed, and it gives me a way to set them up to success, to get something I want, so something I can reinforce, so I can start building on that. And I think of it like scales that get out of balance. So I can start putting weight on the side of the scale to get them to do the thing I want them to do, as opposed to all the weight they have on the side that says, oh no, I'm not going to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're breaking it down into like little modules, little chunks, and then or building blocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So now, can anybody figure this out? I mean, obviously we have to go through a train the trainer type of thing, but can the average Joe figure out how to do on-target training?
Oh, yes, for sure. It's and as I give clinics, and you start talking about the principles that are behind it, they're behavior principles, and they're not animal behavior principles. They're just behavior principles that apply to all of us. Yeah, husbands and wives, children, and dogs, but anyway. So they're behavior principles, and as you start talking about it with people are like, oh, yeah, of course that makes sense. But it's something we don't, hasn't historically really been applied so much with the positive reinforcement side. So just in the education process, you start to figure it out. But it's also a very forgiving, safe system. So if you do something kind of wrong, it's easy to get back out of it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do now with my, with the website and the internet business, is being a resource for people that are doing it. And before, you didn't quite have the place where people could come and go, uh-oh, I don't know what I'm doing. It wasn't so. If I wasn't there in person, it wasn't there. And now it's a great way to get to talking to people through it. But your average person, I've worked with Olympic gold medalists and their horses, more than one, all the way down to your backyard enthusiast and pony club and children. And so it works for anybody. It's anybody and anything. So it's been really fun.
Now, I've tried to use it with Jennifer, my wife, and it just doesn't work as well. I think that's what you were getting to earlier, wasn't it?
You should try donuts.
Yeah, but,
I even tried the food reinforcement thing, and it's still... She has that independent spirit. You know how that is. Well, my wife is a big believer in clicker training, and probably probably that's where you learned a lot of it from. I think she used it when she was with you, Helena. But,
yeah.
You know, and she is a big believer in it, and that was 20 years ago. And I think what's happened is clicker training got really big about 15 years ago, actually, in the mid-'90s and the end of the '90s. And then I think it sort of tapered off a little bit, and now I sort of see a resurgence. And I'm using clicker training as that generic term, like you are.
Right.
Now I kind of see a resurgence. Are you seeing the same thing?
You know, I really am. You know, I had a period where I was kind of going through my own, you know, personal growth period, so I kind of veered away from it a little bit. Still worked with horses, still talked to people and did things, but wasn't 100% immersed in it like I was before, and now like I am again. But it does seem like it has reached a new level of acceptance, and I knew when I was starting it, it was brand new to the horse world. People weren't doing it. I mean, I got the benefit of starting with, you know, Beezy Madden and her, you know, and she's Olympic gold medalist. I got to start at the top, but it was brand new, and people would just think it was really odd, you know, or they thought, oh, that's really cute, you know, look at the little whale girl, tree hugger, you know, making a pet out of everything. I'm like, no, it's serious. You know, this works for if 10,000-pound killer whale do it, you know, your horse can do it. But it seems like people have kind of getting past that sort of, you know, and are starting to embrace it a little bit more. But its effectiveness speaks for itself. These aren't techniques I made up. They've been in textbooks, you know, since, you know, like B.F. Skinner was working on this kind of stuff and working it out. And it's been in effect all along. We just, you know, as a science, it became, let's understand it and break it down. But it was still rather clinical. You know, like you read the textbooks, you know, like, I can't understand that gobbledygook. I can't even say the gobbledygook. But then I took it out of the textbooks, and we put it into practical application at SeaWorld, and then I introduced it to the horses, you know, started introducing it in 92, and then really kind of got full-fledged in 94. But it was still so new. But they're proven principles, you know. If anybody really just stops and looks, they find out, you know, whatever their perception is from the get-go, if you really stop and look, you realize these things are at work whether you know it or not. So becoming aware of it and utilizing it to your benefit is what is really, you know, paramount to the success when you're doing it. But it's so cool. What I love so much about it is when you see the horses just come alive. You know, I worked with abused horses. I just got a horse myself. He's going to be my new project that we're going to follow along as he learns all these things. And he was highly suspicious. He was left out in the field until he's 4 years old, so he's basically feral. You know, he might as well have been a wild Mustang, essentially. And then he came in, and he kind of is getting in a program, and he had it was kind of a square peg in a round hole for a little bit, didn't really have a place. And then, anyway, so he's with me now, and he was highly suspicious. He pulls back, he does. And to just see him just start to blossom, you know, it's just really, it's an awesome thing to see them start to trust and really to want to listen and be the solid citizen with a good heart as horses go, you know. That's great for me.
Can it be used
for anyone? Can
it be used for horses that are showing dangerous behaviors?
Yes, for sure. I've worked with some dangerous horses, you know, ones that were, you know, and that's the kind of situation, you know, there's things that build up to the dangerous behavior, but you want somebody that's kind of smart about what they're doing there, or work with protected contact, you know, like I don't just go into the dangerous horse's stall. I start at a place where I can be at a safe place outside the stall, or the stall's open, you know, 6 inches, so I can reach in, I can reach a target in, you know, and start teaching them. But a lot of times the dangerous horses, more often than not, where they come from is it's usually some man-made issue, you know, and it might not be the present owner, but somewhere in their history they felt like, I am threatened to the point I need to kill you before you kill me. You know what I mean? Can be their perception a lot of times. So they've just carried that over from every situation down the road. So it's basically, again, I look at it as scales. It just need to be rebalanced. They think this is the way I've got to be. And you start, because they're avoiding all these, you know, contact that they may associate with humans. And you can shift that right back down. So I've used it with dangerous horses. I've used it to cure biting and mouthiness, which I think is, you know, a lot of people go, you're kidding me. You know, doesn't it create it? And it doesn't. So it works for anything.
Now, I would think that it would actually be better for dangerous horses because like a lot of times when I reward my horse for doing the right thing, it's a gentle pat on the head or the neck. But you can use the clicker or the sound reward from a distance. Is that true? Does it help in that case?
Yes, that is true. And if you think about most horse training, what is really in it for the horse? You know what I mean? If we're asking them to face something that they're not comfortable with, like it might be a water jump, it might be clippers, it might be, a trailer. It does, there's all kinds of things that all of a sudden you're going, what's the deal? This doesn't make sense, but to your horse it does. And where they might be frightened or something and they're thinking, I don't really want this, I don't like this, I don't want to do this. And there's nothing really in it for them to do that outside of avoiding, the lead rope or the pressure to go into or commit or do as we want them to do for things. But when you start putting the positive reinforcement in it and truly something they want, like the food reinforcement, they value that. They're hardwired to look for food, air, and water to maintain themselves. So they automatically they're born. The second they're born, they take air, and within an hour they're up and nursing. They know how to do those things because it's hardwired. So by utilizing something that they're hardwired to search for and that they need and truly desire, we can really change their behavior. So the trick is, how do I get them to seek this out? And you give them the tools to do a calm behavior, settled behavior, and it really just builds that trust, for them all the way around. So all of a sudden, instead of bringing things into the equation that they don't necessarily like related to, the trailer or riding or whatever it might be, we're actually bringing something in for them that they like, and it just changes their relationship and their attitude.
Now, what do you want to accomplish with your new horse? By the way, Helena just got an Arab saddlebred standardbred cross, and we do these reports now. The horse's name is Pi, so we do the Pi updates. So this will be our Pi update, Helena. What do you want to accomplish? Because you told me you want to start with some target training. What are you hoping to accomplish?
I'm not quite sure. I don't have a specific goal yet, but I do know that he really engages in any kind of game playing, and so I like. I've been free lunging him, so this what I've been calling this at liberty work is. Instead of using, in other words, if I'm trotting him in the arena, I want him to be able to follow my commands, walk, trot, canter on a verbal command without being attached to anything, or to stop, right, to back up, just basic obedience training, basically. And then maybe eventually we'll do some trick training, because he likes that intellectual puzzle playing, game playing kind of thing. So I think that the clicker training would be a great way to let him have some fun without having a rider on his back.
And there is so much to that, because the basic ground manners or their basic demeanor that goes through all of the training starts with the littlest things. So if you get them saying yes to this and yes to that, pretty soon it's yes to everything, and you're working as a team, and they're thinking, especially someone who likes to think. And there's a horse that likes to think. There was a test or study they did that they gave animals, and there were different species of animals, they gave them free food, just a bucket or a pail of free food. And then they took that away, and they gave those same animals food that they had to hit a lever to get the food. Then they took that away and gave them both options. And do you know what they did? They ignored the free food, and they went for the food where they had to hit the lever for the food. So I kind of think, I think that's amazing, and I think that
They were all girls, I want to say. The guys would go for the food. I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, boy. But what I think we do, we have such a tendency to think about their physical needs. Their physical needs are physical needs, how's everything? Are they groomed? Are they getting out? But we forget that there's a lot of mental, psychological needs that sometimes we forget. And I think about this and how much they preferred to do something that stimulated them, mentally to get their food. And I thought that was really interesting. I've already suspected that, but that's just to have it laid out like that, I think it's just great. And I think when we start introducing the positive reinforcement and getting them thinking and involved in their training program and active members who want to be there. I mean, I pull out the saddle, my horses nicker. You know, you pull in the barn and they nicker. They're just excited to get to go out and work. You know, and that's really a good place to be. But
it is a good place to be. Yeah. It is because it's like, what are we going to do today? And, you know, I don't want to, like, my horse came to me with that, hey, how are you kind of attitude. And I want to reinforce that so that, and, you know, on rainy days or snowy days or days when it's just too hot to ride, or like, I'm a firm believer that you need to exercise your horse's mind as much as his body. And if he doesn't have to think about his survival, I mean, again, this is just my off the wall theory, but in the wild, horses need to use their brain in order to figure out where they are in their herd and what, you know, how they're going to stay alive and who they're going to breed with and all that stuff. You take away that thinking process with the stabled horse, whose routine is so monotonous, that I think you need to replace some of that thinking with games. And so I just thought that the clicker training or the on-target training would be a great way to replace those thinking games.
Helena, you're right on the mark. I agree with you 100%. They're even if they're spooking, going, what's that up on the hill? You know, they have to worry about it because it might be, you know, something coming to get them. So I think they search those things out, and the more we can provide that, one, the more happy and balanced they are, and the less they create their games. I mean, you just see a lot of horses just out of boredom. They become really bad. And a lot of the horses that I look at and think, we've got a ton of stuff to undo. You know, I'm not saying they're problem horses. They're problematic, we'll say, because it can be fixed. But right off the bat, I can say, I bet they're really smart. And they're like, yes, how'd you know? And it's like, because they're the ones that get bored the quickest, you know. But I think you're right on the money. It just, you start, and it's like you said, it's not necessarily a specific goal. I mean, a lot of times people come to me because they have a specific problem. You know, they're going, oh, my horse won't do this or they won't do that. And everything I've tried hasn't worked, so here I am. But it's best if you just go right off the bat and go, here we go, here's our stuff, and you circumvent a lot of that, and you know, it just gives you great tools. And in the beginning, I think it's a little bit slow because you're going, oh, here's the clicker and here's the target, and then they get it figured out. But then things just snap and move along so fast that they just get mature beyond their years. You know, they just process and think and are such a part of the training, you know, equation, which is really nice.
Now, if somebody knows nothing and they want to get started on this, how do they do that successfully?
Okay. Well, I mean, I have a book and a video that cover it, but I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell right here and now, so your readers or viewers, listeners,
one of those,
whatever they are, a little of everything.
We have all three.
Yeah. They're not quite sure either.
So the first thing I do, I go in the stall and I have a side bucket. I mean, I use something that's easy for me to get in and out of without fussing with zippers and soft things, but yet something I can cover. One time I went in with a really big bucket. It was a mess because I couldn't cover it. You know, the horse was like, I can get in here. I can get in here. So I use something small enough that I can contain, and so I have a side bucket that's attached to my waist, and I go in, and the first thing I do is, now when you go in, naturally they're going to go, I want that food. You know, people put food in my bucket, and I go eat it, and there's food, and I think I should eat that. So you have to have that's why I want to contain it. So they'll kind of try, and they'll kind of nose, and if they get too nosy or pushy, I'll actually shoo them away. You know, if you just got to flick their little nose or something. And as soon as they turn away for whatever reason, I click and reinforce. I don't care if they looked out the window because they heard a noise, whatever it is that they turn away from the side bucket, I click and reinforce. And now I do this, and that's the very first lesson is I want them to mind their space. So I do this for about 4 days. I do it about 5 minutes twice a day. So if you go see your horse every day, do it 5 minutes when you first get there, and then do your normal thing, and then just 5 minutes before you go home. And what you're doing is you're pairing the sound of the clicker with delivering of food, which gives them, it's Pavlovian conditioning, just like Pavlov's dogs, where they start to think, oh, I love that sound. It means something good is going to happen. Now, right off the bat, I got to say, they're interested in the food. I mean, that grabs their attention greater than anything I've ever seen. But down the road, they forget what it is that they like about you, what they like about the clicker. It's just been conditioned. So I just do that. I just click feed, click feed. The only thing is keep your space from me. I'll go to both sides of their heads, and I start kind of at their shoulder, so it's not so easy to be right, in the bucket. They'd have to kind of crank their heads around. And so I do that, like I said, for about 4 days. And then you're going to find that when you click that clicker, they're looking. You go in, they start turning their head away right off the bat, and they're keeping their space. And then as soon as you click, they're, excited. And I have a tendency to bring the food to them where they are. I try to reach out with my hand as opposed to feeding them right from the side bucket. I reach out and feed them up where they are so that you kind of, again, you're drawing attention to go, I'll bring it to you. You don't have to come to the side bucket. And then the next thing I do is I use a target, and you can use whatever you like as a target. Just something that is light, that you can use from place to place, you can be consistent with is great. And then I just teach them to touch their nose to the target. Now, right off the bat, because they're so curious, they will sniff at the target, even if they're, snorting and sniffing. They are interested in what that target's about. And as soon as I see them even looking towards it, I click and reinforce. And then, you do that a few times, and pretty soon you can hold it off to the side. And I do that for about the same amount of time, 4 days, do it 5 minutes twice a day. So, beginning and end of my visit. And if you do it more, that's great. If you miss a bunch of days in between, it doesn't matter. They remember. That's been proven. And it doesn't really matter if you miss some days in between. They will remember. And then after that, you're ready to go into whatever it is that you want to be working on. Sometimes it's a young horse that's going to be leading, or sometimes, like in Helena, your case, it's just kind of going to be some general stuff, or stuff's going to come up as you get to know each other and go, he's not good about getting paced, in wormer or something, or whatever it is that comes up. You'll come across things, but just starting to teach them some things are really good, and you've already started that with the target training. And the target itself can, as I said, you can use it for things like teaching them to lower their head. You can teach it to get them onto a tarp or past a scary object or into a trailer, or for backing up or leading. It has a million uses. But even, let's say, I'm going to work on flying lead changes, and the target's not necessarily going to be a part of that equation. I still teach it because it's the beginning part of the actual working relationship where they start putting together, wait, I have to do something a little more. I need to do something in order to earn my reward. So it serves a very valuable purpose, and it's a great way to kind of set them up for success and get them so they love that game. And so if I'm going out to do something, like there was a horse, Judgment, the BZ Madden rode, and he had he wouldn't go over water jumps. He was Michael Matz rode him. He was great, but he just had an issue with water jumps, and so they use it on target training to get him jumping water. But so when they go to the ring, now they've worked through all this stuff at home. As they go to the ring, up at Spruce Meadows, right outside the ring, they brought the target and said, target, target. It's very simple, but it's getting his mindset in we're doing that thing again. So, and then he went in the ring and performed and did great, but it was kind of a reminder. So it's really a staple that I use for a lot of things.
Well, now, if people wanted to, I do know, my wife, as I said, years and years ago, learned about clicker training from your book. So if people want to get your book and also, want to get a clicker and get started, where can they do that?
They can go to my website. It's shawnakarasch.com, and that's ShawnAKarrasch. Or you can go to AskShauna.com. A little easier to spell.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that long old name. But and I also do teletraining events too and webinars. So it's so Ask Shauna actually takes you to the webinar page, but it's part of my bigger. There's you have the tabs for my whole website up there, so you can get to products and learning just more about on target training. So. There you go.
Well, that's great. Well, does that motivate you to want to get into his stall there, get into Pie's stall? And
Oh, I'm like I'm bouncing up and down in my seat. I can't wait to get there and do some more stuff. And well, yeah,
there you go.
He's a fun guy. This is really, Shauna, I'm like beside myself with excitement because when Glenn told me we were having you on today, I thought, the timing is perfect because I was really thinking about starting this kind of training with Pie, and I just think that, when I start something, it's so funny because I have a wonderful trainer, the best trainer that she's just fabulous. And she sees me do some of this at Liberty stuff. And she said, how do you get your horse to follow you around like that? And I said, I don't know. And then I said, well, I did this and I did that. The next day you got like 3 people at the barn who are doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And everybody gets excited about it. So I'm partially excited to do it with my own horse, but I'm also excited to watch it spread, to watch other people get on board with this and enjoy the same type of success that I know that I will have with my horse.
Which is, that's what I love. I love seeing the horses enjoy it and the people enjoy it. It just makes a better relationship. So I'm with you. I just love seeing that. I get tickled to see what anyone's doing or hearing stories and stuff. It's awesome. I'm really, really glad. It's exciting.
Well, now I have the final question for you, and this is the most important one. Well, first of all, I wanted to say, at least now when you graduated to horses, the bucket that you carry in to do the reinforcement training wasn't as stinky as when it used to be, when it used to be the dead fish in there. But so now, is a killer whale easier to train, or is a horse easier to train?
I think, first of all, I think horses and sea lions are a lot alike. They're both a little skittish, and they can follow you and do stuff. The killer whales are capable of, more so than the dolphins, they have proven that they really they're capable of complex thought. So with the killer whales, you spend a good deal of your time maintaining behavior they already know because they really like playing games.
Okay.
So they're a little trickier.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Horses are tougher. Yeah, it really is. So we spend a lot of time maintaining what we know that they know, and you really have to keep them stimulated and progressive with them. But I think what's interesting, too, with the horses, they come in with so many different backgrounds that you may never, ever know about what they've been through somewhere, that always makes it a little challenging. So that might be a little challenging, but the basic thing is it's incorrect behavior, and I'm going to correct it. I always, as a behaviorist, I want to search back and find out why, why is it that they do this, but I think the horses are really much easier.
And it doesn't work on horse husbands at all. Well, we're pretty much food motivated,
What
though.
do we need? It's food.
We're food motivated. You pretty much don't.
What else do you need?
You don't even need the clicker. Just bring us chocolate and ice cream, and we're good. And a steak occasionally.
And occasional monster truck something.
Yeah, that's right.
Or a chainsaw, something that's got an engine in it.
Something. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Shauna. We appreciate you being on with us today.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much. It was great. Yeah, and if you want to do something on a specific subject down the road, whatever it is, it's just great fun talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Our pleasure.
Well, thanks to Shauna for joining us again. It was a lot of fun. We really appreciate it and appreciate talking to her. We should have her back again. We should get her back like once a year and keep up with her. She's just a fascinating woman.
Yeah, she is.
Be sure to listen next week as we have another great show planned for you. Our show notes are at stablescoop.com. That's where you find links to Shauna and everybody else, to Kathleen and everybody that we talk about on the show every week. You can also send us feedback using the contact link on our website. You also at Twitter, you can follow us on Horse Radio and Helena at Helena_BEE. And probably you saw a tweet a while back that said, ouch! Thanks. We want to thank our sponsors, Omega Alpha and Equestrian Collections, for supporting us through this show today. We appreciate you hanging in there with us. And be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. And don't forget to check out Helena and I's other show, the Tack and Habit Radio Show, at tackandhabit.com. Well, Helena, we're going to end it so you can go scream in pain. So we'll be back again next week.
With something cool?
Or the pain-free scoop.
Yeah, you know what? I think my thumb's still going to hurt next week.
All right, Helena, we'll be back again next week. See ya.
Bye.
And be sure to listen in next week as we have another great show for you. And you can find our show notes at stablescoop.com, all the links to today's show. And
now that you could use as a blooper. You know what? Mary was right. The day's just going to go downhill from for those of you who are listening, I mean, we've cut out, I just can't even talk. We've cut out 10 minutes worth of tape because just a mess.
You can put this at the end, Brian.